Hi everyone, it's Sunflower Spirit here, and I'm here to do a pick a card reading. And today's topic is on how can you cope with these intense emotions? There's a lot of emotional stuff going on in the world right now, so I thought it would be good. So we have cards 1, cards 2, and cards 3. So go ahead and pick your pile, and we will get started. All right, this is for those of you who chose the cards number 1. So let's see what we have. You have the Ace of Pentacles. This is on the topic of how can you cope with these intense emotions. We have the Six of Swords. You have the Six of Wands. And you have the Nine of Wands. And then we also have Villain of Sorrow, Smooth Talker. You have Abundance. You have Friendliness. You have Beyond Illusion. And you have third eye chakra, number 6, the sixth chakra. Okay, so for cards number 1, if you chose pile number 1, how can you cope with these intense emotions? So I feel like you might be a little bit resistant to these emotions, first of all. You might be a little bit resistant. You might put on this front like you are, like you're handling it, you got this, whatever. But I feel like at the heart of it, like there are some things that need to be addressed regarding your emotional state, regarding your emotions. So I think it's partly going to be letting go of the past, like moving on from past situations. You're going to have to, make this decision. Swords are about thoughts. They're about our thoughts, our communication. So this is making an active choice to move on to more harmonious. If we look at it as progression, we can see the Five of Swords is like it's like either inner struggle and conflict with your thoughts, or it's struggle with communication. And the six, moving on to the six, will be you're finding abundance in the situation, you're finding harmony, you're choosing to move towards harmony. So this is like choosing to move towards harmony. You are letting go of untrue thoughts, you are letting go of the thoughts that don't serve you. And this could be part, letting go of the past, like making that decision to um to have this sort of transformation. Like you see there's a butterfly on this, and it's sort of like having this mental transformation to choose, you know, the thoughts, the communication that serves you. You you also need to listen to your intuition. With the third eye chakra, I'm getting a huge sense that you really need to focus on listening to your intuition. I do feel like there is an aspect for you of keeping sort of like upholding some sort of image. Like you like want to tell everyone, you're like this smooth talker, like, oh, I got it, it's fine, I'm fine, it's okay, whatever. And really you're not. Um, you're really struggling a little bit with that like self confidence that you want to move forward, but it's really about just trusting your intuition. I do have this is about growth for you, this is about change, this is about allowing your friends to help you, allowing people around you to help you. I do see you might be more of kind of like a practical person. You might be more practical. And so maybe it's hard for you to really, be honest with yourself. So that's like the big thing I'm seeing. Like, let your guard down, let yourself be honest, let yourself feel these. Emotions don't really last forever. They're kind of like ocean waves. I kind of, that's like the metaphor I like to use is that emotions are kind of like ocean waves. Ocean waves aren't always like huge, big, crashing in things. They kind of like move in and out, and that's kind of how emotions are too. They move in and out. We're not always in the same emotion, and we shouldn't be. If you are, then you need to take a look at that. Um, so yeah, this is like about having the self-confidence, knowing yourself, knowing what you're capable of. recognizing that you are abundant, not only in the physical world, but with your emotions. And it's a growth process. I see it as a growth process. I see it as this sort of transformation process for you guys. Um, just learning how to move on from stuff that doesn't, because what happens is we have emotions and then we will process those emotions with our thoughts. So then once we're in that sort of like processing stage of the emotions, like where we're thinking about it, that's when they become feelings. So that's when we can like relate to them as feelings. And this is like making the active decision. This is like knowing what you want to move on from, what's not serving you, what will serve you better. It's finding that like abundance within yourself. It's taking leadership, taking ownership of yourself, and emotions are what really are able to relate us to our intuition. So emotions aren't bad, even though it might be scary to deal with them. Like I said, they're not going to last forever. Um, this sort of thing is really just a front. This is like Freud would call it a defense mechanism. This is like a way to avoid basically feeling the emotions that need to be felt. It's a way to say, I'm exempt from this. You guys might do this, but I don't do this. And that's not reality. We all know that's not reality. So, and you guys are whoever chose this pile, you are very abundant. You are very stable and secure within yourself. It's just, learning how to let your guard down for one thing and move on from those thoughts, those feelings that aren't serving you. Allow your intuition to guide you. Okay? So hopefully that was helpful for those of you who chose the pile number 1. If not, feel free to check out the other piles. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. Okay, this is for those of you who chose pile number 2. So this is on the topic of how you can cope with these intense emotions. So let's see what we got. We have the Five of Swords, have the Magician, you have the Eight of Cups, and you have the Two of Cups. And then you also have Justice or Corruption. You have Dissipating. You have Experiencing. And you have Mind. And then you also have the second chakra or the sacral chakra. All right. So how can you cope with these intense emotions? How can you manage these emotions? So I get a strong sense for those of you who chose this pile that you feel like if you give in to your emotions, you're going to be sort of like this corrupt person. You're not going to get yourself back. You're going to lose yourself in the emotions. And that is just not true. That's not true. As I was telling pile number 1, emotions are kind of like ocean waves. They don't last forever. If you've ever like been to the ocean or experienced like the tide coming in or the ocean waves rolling in, they don't it's not always these big, giant, huge waves. Sometimes the little waves come in, sometimes it's, really big, huge waves, but sometimes it's pretty calm and still. And so that's kind of how emotions are. Um, so no, you're not going to lose yourself. I feel like yeah, you guys really, you have a hard time with emotions because you feel like you're going to lose yourself. You're going to be stuck in whatever state that is. I feel like, for those of you who chose this pile, you are afraid and you have inner conflict with your thoughts about this because you feel like you're going to corrupt yourself. If you allow your emotions to go, it's like you're feeling like you're going to be stuck in that state. You're never going to get out. And that's kind of what I love this picture that, that kind of like depicts what you're going through. Um, so it's very stressful. It's very stressful for you guys because you sort of, in a way, with having this conflict about not wanting to feel these emotions, you are allowing yourself to, you're making it harder. You're actually like, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like saying like, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, and you're like so focused on it that you're actually manifesting that to happen. You're manifesting yourself to be stuck in this place where, you feel like you're going to be there forever. So it's sort of learning how to move on. It's learning how to allow your emotions to, even though it might be scary, it might be really scary. It is scary sometimes. But just sitting with that discomfort, sitting with whatever is uncomfortable about the emotions, about, what you're going through, it's really like experiencing it and recognizing that the experience isn't going to last forever. It's not something that's going to last forever. Um, and that your thoughts play like a huge role in it. How you're thinking about these things are going to, um, how you think about your emotions, how you think about is really going to be how you experience them, how you ultimately are experiencing them. So, it's really taking, recognizing that you do have the power, you do have everything it takes to, get through these, get past these, to manifest something different for yourself, but you need to learn how to move on. Like, let the emotions be there and learn how to, this Eight of Cups card sometimes is about emotional intelligence. It's about learning how to recognize that your emotions are going to be, they don't last forever. They don't last forever. They are not going to kill you. They are not going to hurt you. As much pain as they might cause, you're going to get through it. You're going to walk away from it eventually. It's not going to be there forever. And um, I do have, I feel like this sort of holds you back a little bit from, you know, this idea that these emotions, that you can't, you have this struggle with these emotions, this thought process that, you can't experience them or you're going to get stuck there, kind of keeps you from experiencing the good ones, because we can't really just block out like the bad stuff. It doesn't really work like that. There's a certain level of vulnerability that you need with expressing emotions, with being an emotional being. And so, in order to have this sort of like energy, this Two of Cups, this happiness, harmony, good, like what people would call like the positive emotions with other people, you're going to need to be able to sit with the stuff that is going to be more difficult, more challenging, the pain, the sadness, the despair, that sort of thing. So I think it's just about like recognizing as an experience, just taking it, recognizing like this isn't going to last forever. Um, Usually, sometimes when I have painful emotions, I mean, they don't last forever, and I've had like, depending on like the trauma, the level of trauma or whatever, sometimes it can last quite a while, but for the most part, our day-to-day stuff, it really is just like a tiny little experience and such a huge, you know, magnitude of other things. So hopefully this was helpful for you, pile number two. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If this didn't resonate, feel free to check out the other piles. Thanks so much. All right, this is pile number three. For those of you who chose pile number three on the topic of how can you cope with these intense emotions? So let's take a look at what we got here. You have the Nine of Cups. You have the Knight of Wands. You have the Queen of Pentacles. And you have the Four of Wands. Okay. And then you also have Seven of Rage, Warfare. You have Instinct. You have Success. You have letting go, and you have triumphant success. All right. So for those of you who chose pile number 3, I feel like what you struggle with your emotions, like how you cope with these intense, you have very intense emotions. You're a very passionate person. You have very intense, passionate emotions, and the downside of that sometimes is you get sort of like this anger. This anger starts to come out, and usually, so anger for me is a secondary emotion. So that means that like what is going on, what is actually the problem. It's not really anger. So a secondary emotion for anger could be like pain, fear. I mean, anger is a secondary emotion to these, sorry. So like a first emotion of these could be like pain or fear. So you're having sort of like being triggered a lot, or instead of actually expressing what you need to express, everything just comes out in rage or anger because maybe you haven't been taught about emotions, or maybe you don't understand emotions, or maybe it hasn't been like socially acceptable for you to express emotions. But so this is like listening to your instincts. This is about listening to your instincts. This is about going within. Yeah, it is scary. It is hard, but you can definitely do it because this is a human process. This is a human experience, and we all are equipped to navigate our emotions. Otherwise, we wouldn't have them. So it's sometimes, learning when you need to let go and move on. It's learning how to let go of things that maybe you don't need to get so outraged about. Um, that's not to say that anger can't be a useful emotion. Sometimes anger is a very useful emotion. A lot of um, very good things have come from somebody's anger. It's just how they channel it. And so I'm seeing that with the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands shows me you are a passionate person. This is why you have so much anger, is because um, you're channeling all your emotions into this sort of like anger, this rage. But you are a passionate person. You do have I do see that you have like a lot of ability to have like the Four of Wands. You have the ability to have like, you know, these sort of celebratory partnerships. We also have success. So you have what it takes to be very successful. You might be very successful. However, just in managing your emotions, it's sort of like learning how to let go. It's learning how to let go. We also have the Nine of Cups here, which shows me that perhaps a lot of this comes from like wanting to get your way, wanting to get your wishes fulfilled, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just about like balancing it out with kind of like how can you be more of a nurturer? How can you use these emotions? Um, because anger isn't necessarily going to be an emotion that is going to like attract a lot of success or connections or something. So it's kind of like getting to the heart of it, getting to the truth, like recognizing the truth, recognizing that you can have success with these. It's just about, for one thing, it's about your thoughts. For another thing, it's about your communication. It's about learning to let stuff go. It's about listening to your intuition, this instinct card. And it's also recognizing kind of like where your power is, where like what you have power over, and how do you want to use that power? How do you want to use that power? Um, you're very skillful. I see you being very skillful. You're very nurturing. You pretty much got it together, like with the physical world. So in a way too, you could be using some of this stuff, some of this success, some of this skill as like a means to kind of hide or block the fact that, you have this rage. You sort of have this rage inside of you. And so it's kind of like taking a look at that, being honest with yourself, being courageous, being honest about how you are, like what you're capable of moving on from, what you're willing to move on from. Because I don't see, I'm getting a sense that there's like a fear that if you like let this rage go, you're not going to have this success, you're not going to have this wish fulfillment. But that's not true. That's not true at all. Um, as I've mentioned in the other piles, emotions aren't, they don't last forever. And so it's about being wise. It's about being wise about um, what you're going to put your energy into, how you're going to put your energy into. I do see like a little bit of a impulsiveness with this pile too, so maybe like keeping that in check, like recognizing that you have this impulse to just like be rageful, be angry. And so it's kind of like listening to your inner guide, your inner instinct, like, maybe now is not the time to be rageful. Because there's so many other ways like a passionate person like you can express emotions. This person here, who I'm seeing you guys as, you are very, like I said, you're very skillful. You have a lot going on for you in the physical world. You're also very passionate. You could be very creative. You could be a very creative person. Um, and so there's a lot of good things that go with being that sort of personality. It's just keeping this rage in check, keeping this, being wise about it, being truthful and honest with yourself about it. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys, pile number 3. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If this doesn't resonate, feel free to check out the other piles. I'll talk to you guys later.